Greetings, dear friends. Welcome to the Creative Lab, Awakening the Souls of Our Nations. I welcome you on the behalf of the Hechal Group from Jerusalem and Klangschale Group from Germany, as well as the 2025 Initiative Coordination Group. Today, at the second day of distribution of the Aries Festival, we gather in our circle, continuing our work. Thank you for joining us. And I invite Uta to take us on our continuous journey.
Okay, thank you. And hello, everyone, to our Nations Lab in this Aries orbit. So, in the Nations Lab, spiritual students from many nations come together every month to develop and practice work methods along the line of psychosynthesis, the psychosynthesis of nations, and to apply them to specific world issues. We use a structured, sustained meditation for developing and maintaining what we call our council chamber of elders in training, a safe and stable subjective workspace as a seed for a future soul-guided United Nations. So in this precious time now, in the orbit of the 2025 Aries full moon, we have planned to do two things. To participate as consciously as we can in the Centennial Conclave of the spiritual elders of our planet. And secondly, to get a better grasp of the skill set which DK suggests us to acquire and to use on a planetary scale. We in the team, in the Nations Lab team, over the last few weeks, we sense the need to adopt a more fifth ray approach. We are called a lab, so indeed to be a lab, a research place for receiving, adapting, and distributing the hierarchical vision for humanity, and especially also for the United Nations, for this new 100-year cycle. So that means to become more concrete in both our relationship with our elders in the ashram and also how do we actively play our part. So lately in our team we have been studying a passage in Dina 2, page 314 and following, where DK speaks about a new readiness of the disciples back then as a result of the World War. So this was 80 or so years ago, when he invited the disciples into a much closer and widespread contact with hierarchy, he said. So it seems that now, in this year of the Centennial Conclave, we as a world group are really consciously and practically accepting this invitation. We are invited into a partnership. So let's take a moment to fully realize this. A partnership with our senior colleagues in the ashram. And in this partnership, our specific job is to receive, adapt, and distribute the hierarchical vision. So now, here in Aries, where we are at the moment, the emphasis, of course, is first of all on receiving, being receptive to the first fiery sparks for this new cycle, which are now being prepared by hierarchy. And what DK also stressed is what he calls practicing the trained reticence of the hierarchy. The trained reticence of the hierarchy, which means the capacity to retain these fiery sparks, not immediately as they come to share them, but to convey them in right timing. So today, in the silence of the council chamber for elders in training, we will do two things. We will reach as high up as we can into the hierarchical thought field, and we will retain the fiery sparks that we may receive. We will not immediately share them today in our group reflection afterwards, but let them ripen over this period of the spiritual festivals, over Vesak, and share them with each other in our Nations Lab session in Gemini. We will dedicate the Gemini session to this sharing, and meanwhile practice holding these sparks in the silence of our heart. So, what we will do in the sharing today, we will experiment with a more fifth ray approach. We will now define a specific research question and focus our group reflection on that question. So to speak, share our findings on that question, a little bit like scientists in a lab. So can we have the question for a moment on the screen, please? Our research question today is, how do I play my part in the Centennial Conclave? Which means the focus is on me, on my own experience, on my own part. So we ask ourselves very practically these side questions, maybe, if you want. What do I actually do in this partnership? What does it mean? Which energies, skills, and actions do I actually employ? How do I experience my partnership with hierarchy? What does it mean to me? And what in this seems to work already, and what maybe needs to still be clarified or developed? Okay, so in today's meditation that we are now entering, we will stretch in two directions. First, reaching as high up as we can, and then grounding as concretely as we can. So we will open our council chamber for the fiery sparks of the new cycle, and then focus on the practical research question. Perhaps you would want to have a pen and paper ready for impressions. Okay, so let's see how this will work. So let us prepare for the meditation. Let us withdraw attention into our inner stillness. Breathing into this stillness. Allowing ourselves to ground in our body and our physical location. Breathing for a moment with the earth. Standing in the love and clarity and freedom as the soul. And let now all smaller concerns and details fade and be fully available for the partnership with hierarchy. And let us be drawn to our beautiful building set in the silence of nature. Our council chamber of elders in training, which we have built over some years now. Our safe workspace of high vibration. Entering the quiet and clear and spacious chamber. Sense the atmosphere in the chamber, the geometrical harmony. Taking our places in geometric order. Imagine delegates among us from all nations, from all continents. And take an imaginary look around at the faces. Purity of motive radiates from them. We have different outward appearances, yet the same wisdom shines through our eyes. So let us just savor this moment of being part of this rich diversity, sitting in this field of maturity and integrity. Together with our co-workers whose sense of being is firmly anchored in the oneness of humanity. Getting a sense that this is a safe space for the affairs of the family of nations and a receptacle for the fiery sparks of the future, which are now being prepared by hierarchy. So let a focused silence now settle in the chamber. Our hearts tuning to the flame in the center of the chamber, the flame of the group love. And our minds now consciously synchronizing, holding together this calm, clear, lighted space of the council chamber. It vibrates to the rate of the Ajna center of the planet. Through this vibration, we are linked with our fellow elders in training everywhere, in all nations. Being aware of 4 great Deva beings helping us to hold this shared lighted space. One at each direction, the north, south, east, and west. So let us now enter into receptivity to hierarchy, getting a sense of the vortex which is forming there, this vortex of the Centennial Conclave. Take a few more minutes in silence. Taking another moment now to collect the fiery sparks which we may have touched, received. Retaining them in the silence of our hearts. And collecting now our awareness back into the council chamber, into our own field of consciousness as the partners of hierarchy on the ground, as the outer workforce, so to say. So let us focus now very concretely on ourselves. And on the research question, how do I play my part in the Centennial Conclave? Let us take a couple of minutes for this question, very practically. What is it that I myself actually do? How do I experience myself in the partnership with hierarchy? What does it mean to me in daily life? Let's take another minute. Okay. So let us release the mental effort and just for another moment, just enjoy the atmosphere in the council chamber, resting for another moment in each other's presence. And when we're ready, we return to our personal grounding and taking a moment to record our impressions and findings. Okay. So let us open now the floor for our sharing, our fiery sparks safely stored in our heart. And relating now our sharing only to our research question: how do I play my part in the Centennial Conclave? And let's experiment with this, see if we can do it a little bit like scientists sharing their findings, staying practical, concrete, in fifth ray fashion. And perhaps today we may moderate it a bit if needed to keep us focused on the research question and learn together to get used to a more fifth ray mode. Let's see how that works. Maybe we can put the research question again on the screen. which may help us focus the sharing.
Hello, this is Helen from Jerusalem, but I'm here talking from Germany. How do I play my part? I had this image like a little hobbit. Keep on keeping on in a conscious way. And aware of the subtle movements in consciousness changes that are happening constantly in my service, in my daily life, towards the cycle ahead. Aware of the energies of our elders on the other side of the veil. And being very conscious of the presence of the group in this solemn opening of the cycle.
I could continue. Similar to what Helen shared about awareness of presence of the group. My sense is that it's the way for us to approach the process, the hierarchical process of the meditation, is by holding the tension of group consciousness. If we have if we're part of a small group, linking with group members and standing together as one conscious group unit. If not by aligning with the world group and stretching our inner, if I may say, conscious muscle to step in, reaching out, seeking to reach out to align with the consciousness of the world group. Whatever that means, it's a very new skill for all of us. And it's only in this alignment, first with own group and then with the wider world group, we can tune in or approach that meditation, the hierarchical meditation that is happening. If I remember correctly, somewhere Decay gives a description of that when hierarchy gathers in conclave for various reasons, they need presence of everyone in the being present, being gathered, and that some lesser decisions do not require everyone present, but for the big conclave, everyone have to be present. And the way how I interpret it is that being present for everyone, it means that holding the group consciousness for themselves, the hierarchy meditates on the purpose held in Shambhala. So in similar fashion, the disciples and aspirants of the world, in order to tune in with the hierarchical meditation, we have to be all present. And what it means is being in the group consciousness, aligned with the group consciousness. And that's my sense, that that's the way how we can become a participant of this great event that is happening now.
Yeah, I can go on. And as you mentioned, Sasha, I really experienced myself in this high vibrating group field. And first of all, I sensed a gracious mercy that we all, with the consciousness that this is Hechal Group in the big world service group, that we made it up to coming to this point. This was a very high frequency moment, and there was something like this Centennial Conclave is an act of great mercy, is hold, because we are there and try to open, try to make us ready to receive. For the second question, I can continue with for me, it's about really go forward with this opening, a maximum receptiveness, not to act like hierarchy. So these partners of hierarchy is a very big word, but it came to me to be mirrors of hierarchy in a group try. And this mirroring can happen only to each of us also as individual. So it needs to have courage for us as human beings, and courage to be this little human chalice in the big group chalice, to reflect what wants to rain down in an act of mercy. So this double courage for me is a tension that has to be held. I did not say to reflect us as imperfect, but of course we are human. So it will have color, what we will mirror, to be aware of that and to enlarge the receptiveness. And point 3, question 3, it came for me to train and to hold present the acceptance of the constant necessity of redemption processes, which is not a single enlightenment and then it's done, of redemption processes of everything on an individual and on a national and on a human family level that needs to be still redempted or redeemed. I don't know what is the right word. As for the souls on their karmic journey. And yeah, the partnership, maybe I can combine with question number 4. Remember that as souls, we have an original belonging to the sphere or where hierarchy is working, is existing. And for question number 5, it's to deepen and yeah, to get still more intimate, in a still more intimate and loving relation to hierarchy, and also cultivate a total trust. And that means also for me that to embody that, to contain lovingly and thankfulness everything which brought me and brought us up to here. A lot of practice, a lot of important meetings, a lot of study, a lot of reading, a lot of applying, trying to apply it, containing all this, and in the same time become again more a white paper, a really white paper to receive the not yet existing, to receive something which certainly will be beyond everything we can imagine with all that we learned until today and until now. Going beyond forms and formulas, and in the same time keeping and protecting and applying what brought us here.
This is Andrea, and I am sitting in New York City right now. And so many of the words that Sabine just mentioned had run through the thoughts that I had. But the image that I had was this formation of geese that fly high up in the sky. And they're always sort of forward focused, and they're keenly aware. And they fly with flexibility and grace. They catch the updrafts and continue on with a great commitment to their journey. And the whole time they're seeing from a very elevated perspective. And in many ways, that elevated perspective gives them that open receptivity. They don't see the details, they see the wider picture. And they are recognized as individuals, components within a part of a whole family in partnership. and they fly with purpose and direction and trust.
So for me, the Centennial Conclave is almost like the central spiritual magnet. And in Aries, at this first ray, I have felt the members of the conclave already starting to gather when we stood in Aries together. And it is being in resonance with that magnet, if you will, with hierarchy being aligned to it, with us being aligned to hierarchy who is aligned to it, is that downflow. And we know that the work in part is certainly to support the externalization of the hierarchy as a piece that will come through the conclave, and also the elevation of humanity. So part of standing in that magnetic field of vibration, I see that in that oneness and brotherhood, if you will, we have the capacity to both hear and receive, because we have dedicated ourselves to be partners with hierarchy and to be partners in the greater stream of life itself, which is the life of this planetary logos. And so when I think of what...
Sorry, Judy,
Yes.
sorry, we have a request to talk slowly.
Okay,
And for those who don't speak English as their first language.
I'll try. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So in some ways, it is making that dedication to be a part of this whole, to support that the Aquarian age and what is going to be coming through in the conclave to help with that externalization. And when I was thinking about my relationship to hierarchy, it is almost similar to my relationship with the world serving group, with the new group of world servers. We are one, and yet in some ways there's a sense of isolated unity, that we work with our groups and we work with the impulse that we receive as our particular work in the world, and yet know that it is supported totally by that unity that holds us, that unity which is the world group, that unity which is hierarchy. So it's standing in that stream and actually feeling it and knowing oneself to be part of it, that we can trust in the impulses that we receive and where to shed our light. So that would be one piece. In terms of what do I actually do, I feel fortunate in that I feel I know my work within the United Nations and supporting it as a vehicle for part of the externalization. And so in that understanding, it's trying to receive the impulses of what is the best way for that work to come about. And so without going into the specifics of how I do that in the meditation, I will just say that understanding the place that I need to stand and opening to what is my part, and then moving forward one foot after the next as I receive the impulse of how best to work, is what I can do in terms of bringing skill to action. And when I say me, it's not me, it's the group that I stand with that does this work. And it is the larger group of the world servers, because we are really all doing that same work. But this is just my little part in it. In terms of partnership with hierarchy, that's something that through the group that I work with, I feel has been developed. And usually my meditation every day is just to stand with hierarchy and just stand in that vibration, and then move forward and stand in the vibration of Shambhala itself. So just always being in that strong alignment and trusting in the energy that's coming through. And then certainly with the conclave, what we will receive in that same stream will be manifold. So I guess that's the work that is going well. And what is not clear yet is the next step. But the next step is never clear until we take it. So thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful question. Some things have already been said that I'd like to build on. Group consciousness, one soul. Something that became increasingly important to me in preparation for the conclave was shifting my own identity away from the formal parts of me that had roles and active service, and more into, I'm going to use the word functionary. One's identity really is different when we see that, you know, I am you because you are I, because I am you, Ubuntu. We are so interrelated and interconnected that when we allow that to happen, there's a way in which we become both more sensitive to the particular insights or visions, or they take on a different meaning, which is automatically service. It isn't so much about doing it, but it is an outflow of energy that is spontaneous. And so when I speak of functionary, and it's not an original notion, it came through my meditations with the Planetary System Group. I realized that as functionaries, so often we become sensitive to two things: what's under our nose and what we can do about it, as one thing. And the second thing is that inflow of energy that is ever happening to us in every moment that we are in. And it shifts one's quality of listening. So I happen to believe that hierarchy is here in the lower levels that we can catch. And I think of the 17th goal, partnership, with the energies that we do not see. It's allowed me to become a little more spontaneous, and yes, in trust. A term came up in Agni Yoga meditation, beauty as a force. That I'm trying to, in my doing, go for beauty in everything that I do. And I welcome hierarchy. I welcome your presence.
Thank you. This is Deborah. The sharing is very rich. And how I play my part in the Centennial Conclave is by way of group and cultivating a wider group expansion. And we're told the soul expands in all directions as a sphere. So certainly upward to the higher, but also increasingly down into all the subplanes and environments. And so I've been reflecting quite a bit on the role of the new group of world servers, the world group, and am motivated to feel into how utterly near the hierarchy truly is. Because if we turn within and go as far as we can, it is to the very heart of the hierarchy and the will of Shambhala. But particularly clear to me in this centennial cycle is the evolution of the new group of world servers. Since DK first announced it, as it were. And we have evolved from outer identifications and academic ideation to experiential experimentation, as we're doing here in the Creative Nations Lab and elsewhere. But most recently, it's dawning on me that we are not only becoming consciously, telepathically connected and as a conscious unity globally, energetically, but there's another step, which is that unity becomes fully self-conscious as a one and as an embodiment that can move through the world as one. And it doesn't mean we move our bodies around a physical map or landscape. but that energetically, the energies we receive and distribute are done as a one self-conscious entity, where through that channel that we are and we create, co-create with hierarchy, that energy moves through the world on the function, to use Martha's term, on the function of our being a self-conscious one. And that creates a polarization that has really never occurred before, that I'm aware of, on this planet. And as we become a self-conscious one, which is an open channel to the hierarchy and the Christ and humanity, we operate almost as if a cell membrane that both holds the integrity of the inner nucleus, but also is a sensory receiver and transmitter with the other kingdoms of nature, in addition to humanity as a whole. And as we do that, humanity is magnetized into recognizing ourselves as a one that empowers the consciousness of humanity to relinquish identification with the forms that have imprisoned us, the forms that have kept us separate, including the identification as nations, races, creeds, lineages. And as we relinquish identification with that form because of the magnetic central living radiation, then the manifestation of that oneness transcends the boundaries of time and space and becomes all that is, and is instantaneously what is. And this is kind of the new, what we haven't fully clarified or embodied, but may be on the horizon with the impression of this conclave.
Thank you for all these rich sharings. Would encourage to make the sharings a bit shorter, to be able to grasp a few points, like more in a fifth ray way, that we can, almost like bullet points, try to be a bit more concise, so we can, like a lab, bring a few facts or items, more concrete if possible. Just experimenting now with a new mode.
Bueno, a ver, espera. Buenas tardes, soy de Argentina, espero que funcione bien el traductor. La verdad es que he anotado unos pensamientos que han venido a mí en la meditación, en el silencio, y veo la coincidencia y veo que he sentido muchas cosas que los compañeros han manifestado. Creo que la colaboración que puedo hacer y que podemos hacer es uniéndonos diariamente en mente y corazón con el nuevo grupo de servidores del mundo. Es un tomar conciencia de ese grupo mayor al que pertenecemos y con el cual podemos colaborar ampliamente. También sentí la palabra unión interna, fusión, poder y dirección, como que si pudiéramos ser conscientes y trabajar en una mayor síntesis para esa unión interna en el nuevo grupo de servidores del mundo, vamos a producir las fusiones necesarias para que nuestro trabajo tenga mayor poder, que en estos momentos me parece se está requiriendo, y una mejor dirección. ¿Cómo podemos colaborar? Yo creo que desde el momento en que abrimos nuestros ojos a la mañana hasta que a la noche nos vamos a dormir, todo es el momento adecuado para el servicio, en toda la cadena de relaciones que tenemos, nuestras relaciones cercanas y las relaciones que están un poco más lejanas y más subjetivas. Pero uniéndonos diariamente con nuestra mente y con nuestro corazón, lograremos trabajar de manera mucho más efectiva en este momento con la jerarquía. Ese es mi compartir. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Graciana. Alexander, what do we do with translation? That we can all know what Graciana said.
There is a function of captions on the bottom of the screen. You should activate the captions. Just pressing the bottom of captions, it will show the translated text into your selected language.
Gracias, Alexander.
Yes, this is Barbara speaking. So I'm seeing a triangle of the hierarchy, impressing the present and the future at the same time, and creating a golden pathway to the fifth kingdom of nature, to the kingdom of souls, to the kingdom of co-creation with the devas. And as we all become white magicians and make our ceremonial magic powerful, and to bring the archetypes that are in that kingdom now, that are archetypes in light, to manifest as the new reality for humanity.
Oh, hey. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about that, and resonate with so much of our shared approach, which indeed is being made increasingly in group consciousness. Argentina only emphasized, Graciela, I believe, the beauty of and I now I'm putting words in her mouth, but the beauty of the group, extended group work of the group of groups. I just want to say here, our little laser group, Tucson Unit of Service, when we meet, we'll name all of the groups. We'll sound the names of all the groups. And I just wanted to share that. I just needed to share that little practical new piece is the sounding of the groups names as we broach because I will add, there's one line in Cosmic Fire that says it is the conjury of groups gathering, the constellation of groups when come together form a petal in one of the centers of our planetary logos. That's just an interesting pondering. Thank you.
Hello, this is Marty. And I, in my true sort of third, fifth rate fashion, put a sharing in the chat about specific action items that individuals can take within the group formation. How do I play my part in the Centennial Conclave? And that seemed to me the question. But I did have, during the meditation, 3 distinct, beyond that research, I had 3 distinct feelings, thoughts. I think the most important one is that within groups, there are individuals that are the head, the heart, and the throat functions. They represent those, supposedly based on their race, but based on their functions. Those are their functionaries within the group. So some of us are naturally going to be more philosophical. Some of us are going to be more loving, and some of us are going to be more, feet on the ground, pray and move your feet. But that came to me, that our part within the Centennial Conclave is to embrace that function that we embody within the group. Another thing that came to me is that if we're part of any groups that we are experiencing resistance in, then it seems to me best to resign from those groups and be sure that we are not creating any resistance with any groups. by whatever we may have, perhaps by being misaligned with that group for the particular service that we're doing right now. And a second thought came to me is that it's so important for us to be listening to our intuition for what needs present themselves within our periphery that we can, for which we can provide the supply. Those are my sharings.
Thank you very much, friends, for this rich sharing. Let's take another moment to just hold all that we have heard now, all that we have shared, all that we have experienced in the council chamber together. Let's just take another moment to just hold this in the silence of our council chamber of elders in training. Just breathing into all this, letting it settle. Just enjoying for another moment our shared presence and our high vibrational space. Let us affirm it. Yeah, and having much joy and gratitude, as some of us expressed before, for this point in our journey together that we have reached. So let us retain our precious fiery sparks in our council chamber for gestation, for ripening over Vesak until our Gemini session, which will be dedicated to sharing them. Let us draw a line of light towards Gemini and hold this light together, this line of connection, staying in close touch in this high point in our lives as disciples. Okay, so we meet again in our Vesak session, which will be on May 13, one day after Vesak, which will be mainly silent. We will meet in the council chamber of elders in training to keep close to hierarchy and to each other in a meditation, but we will not have any sharing. Okay, so I say thank you to everyone for this high quality work together, and give over to Alexander for any announcements.
Thank you, Uta, and thank you, friends. We invite us all to hold this year as a year of constant vigil, holding our receptive position as a group, part of the wider group. And as part of this practice, we invite you to join the daily vigil meditation that happens every day at 6 p.m. Universal Time, which is in a little over the 30 minutes from now. And we invite you to join also the group's check-in program at the coming new moon, the new moon of Taurus, where groups can meet and share impressions that each of our groups received during the full moon, during the time when each of our groups come in a silent communion with the world group and with the hierarchy. And at the time of new moon, we can come and listen to each other. So please join us on April 27. We will be sending an announcement. Much gratitude, and we keep our oneness in communion.